Coming up on today's show, the Browns went out and signed a cornerback. So we're going to break down that move and get you guys familiar with the newest member of the Cleveland Browns roster. Plus, we're going to look at a bit of an interesting rumor I saw online about the Browns trading for a running back. We'll break that all down. Of course, we have some training camp news to get to, including a new poll for a field designed for the 50-yard line. So we'll run through those options and all that stuff, but all that coming up. And let's get started with Lorenzo Burns signing with the Cleveland Browns. The Browns went out and signed the former USFL cornerback. I think he won a USFL championship with the Birmingham Stallions. I don't know. Hand up. I didn't watch a single minute of USFL football. But anyway, he was signed by the Cardinals back in 2021 as a UDFA coming out of Arizona. So Cardinals signed kind of the local kid, if you will. He was with the Jags for the last couple of seasons, just on their practice squad, so no NFL regular season experience for Lorenzo Burns. Remember that they put Bo Keys on waivers with an injury designation, so they had a vacancy, if you will, in the cornerback room, and they went out and they added their next guy off their whiteboard, who happened to be Lorenzo Burns. No, this is not a move that's likely going to end with him making the 53-man roster. You've got Denzel Ward, Martin Emerson, Greg Newsome, A.J. Green, Cameron Mitchell, who picked off Deshaun Watson, by the way. All those 5 players are locks, and I think Michael Ford's a lock too. And you got Thomas Graham, who I think would be another candidate to make that 53-man roster. So this is just another depth piece at corner. This is not a move that I think is going to result in him making their 53-man roster. Maybe he pushes for a practice squad spot. But ultimately, if we know one thing about Andrew Berry, it's that he values corners very high, right? Going into this preseason and training camp, if I had to pick one position I thought the Browns were pretty loaded at, it would be cornerback. Instead, Andrew Berry said, hold my beer. I'm going to add not one, but 2 cornerbacks in the last month or so. So Andrew Berry is always looking to bring in new faces and some new blood at that cornerback position, because the name of the game is get a star quarterback. And after that, it's slow down the other team's star quarterback. And there's 2 real ways to go about that: edge rusher and corner. And he's got a lot of horses at edge rusher. Now he wants to beef up his secondary. Again, this is just another move to, buy a lottery ticket, if you will. And unfortunately, or fingers crossed, you don't have to deal with any injuries. But if injuries do pop up, you can feel confident that you have some good pieces in the wings waiting to step in and have a good next man up mentality. Now, be honest with me, though. Browns-Jets Hall of Fame game is this Thursday. And there's a lot of chatter on the web that football is back. I'm going to be the rain cloud, and I'm going to be the punching bag. And I know no one will agree with me, but football's not back. Football's not back this Thursday. Football's not back in the preseason. Football is back when the Browns play the Bengals, because it is so different. Of course, the differences of what the regular season means versus preseason, but at the end of the day, we get super pumped and super excited about preseason football, and then the Browns trot out a bunch of practice squad guys that, let's be honest, half of us have never even heard of. There's a lot of new faces, a lot of new numbers, and you're like, who made that tackle? Who had that grab? Never heard of him before. And it's like, oh, well, none of these guys are actually going to play on Sundays anyway in September. So is it really all that important? And yeah, there is some important things in case injuries pop up. You feel confident about who's stepping up next and some roster bubble guys. But at the end of the day, we spend so much time splitting hairs over, is Anthony Schwartz or Jakeem Grant going to make this roster? Quietly, who gives a shit? Because at the end of the day, Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, and Donovan Peoples-Jones are on this roster. And that's what we have to look forward to. I love preseason. I don't love preseason. I like preseason. Football is not back, though. Football is back when the regular season gets underway. Okay, that's my diatribe, as my boss puts it. Moving on to some interesting rumors I saw out there. Are the Browns trading for the running back Michael Carter from the Jets? I'm going to give this one, Bernie Head. I'm not going to give it fake news because I think that the logic behind the reason for the trade has some feet to it. But unfortunately, I'm not going to take rumors from the Dogs podcast. I'm sure they do a lot of great content and say, this is a bona fide thing. Definitely have this on your radar. No offense, guys. But rumor from them, they tweeted out, if the New York Jets sign running back Dalvin Cook, the team could move on from third-year back Michael Carter. The Browns are rumored to be interested in adding Carter as another pass-catching back behind Nick Chubb and Jerome Ford. If this does end up happening, I owe the Dogs a big apology. But let's kind of break down the possibility, at least, of Cleveland trading for Michael Carter. The Jets did bring Dalvin Cook in for a visit this week, and I think the Jets wanted to sign a contract with him, and Dalvin Cook is probably holding out a little bit longer. Maybe he wants some more guaranteed money. I'm not all that sure. But Breece Hall is still working his way back from a torn ACL, and if we just take a moment to talk about the AFC East, every single team in that division has a big reason to try and make a move for Dalvin Cook or continue to make more splash moves. Because for the Bills, I mean, it's put up or shut up time. They have to go out and they have to win in the postseason. For the Jets, they made a small window with Aaron Rodgers. It is go time. For the Dolphins, they too find that this is their window with Tua still on his rookie contract before they got to pay him and move on from some of these other very nice pieces they have added in the meantime. And then you've got the New York Patriots. Well, I mean, they're just the Patriots. I mean, the standard is winning 10-plus games. So anything short of that is a disaster. And if they think that Dalvin Cook could help them, then I'm sure they go out and get them. But aside from that, Michael Carter, is he going to get moved? If the Jets sign Cook, I do think Michael Carter could get dealt. I think they would have to have a lot of confidence in Breece Hall coming back sooner rather than later, right? I don't think they want to play with fire and go, now that we've added Dalvin Cook, let's trade Michael Carter. Oh, no, Breece Hall is still not really 100% back from that ACL. Oh, no, Dalvin Cook still has shoulder issues. Maybe we shouldn't have traded the only healthy running back we had. So I could see New York being a bit hesitant, but maybe a midseason trade would be more in line if, hey, we've got Breece Hall back, we have Dalvin Cook back, Michael Carter is now hardly even active on game days. Let's move him and get something back for him in the meantime. We're going to talk more about this and other stuff in just a moment, but the 2023 Cleveland Browns sideline hats are here. I'm a big fan of the elf logo on the hat. If you like the new hats, you can get one for yourself by going to chatsports.com/Browns hat. That link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Michael Carter, the former UNC Tar Heel, in his first year with the Jets, 639 yards, 4 touchdowns. He averaged over 4 yards a carry. But last year was a step back, right? When Breece Hall went down, they tried out Michael Carter. Really didn't work all that well. He averaged 3.5 yards per carry with over 100 carries. It was not a good season for Carter last year, and I could see why the Jets feel it's time to maybe try and get something for him if he starts to slip down their depth chart. Personally, I'm all for continuing with Jerome Ford as your RB2, right? Until you find out Jerome Ford cannot handle that workload, I say continue feeding him, continue seeing what he has, and don't just panic trade or panic sign and go, well, Michael Carter's got 2 seasons of work under his belt. We know what he is. Screw it. Let's just go make a move. No, let's see what you have in Jerome Ford before you start trading for guys who averaged 3.5 yards per carry last season. I'm perfectly fine with standing pat and rolling with Jerome Ford into the regular season. And if you get towards the trade deadline, and I'm not going to even say it out loud, but if something were to happen to someone who happens to wear a number like 24, sure, we can have that conversation then. Or if Jerome Ford looks like he is in over his head, fine, let's see who's on the market or something. But for now, August 1st, I think it's too early to start panicking and feeling like you have to go out and get another running back. Before we wrap up today's show with everything else we have planned, help us beat our record from last year in August. We put up 655 new subscribers so far through this year in August, which has been a total of like 15 hours or so, 14 subs. So pretty solid stuff right there, but a long way to go to beat last year's mark of 655. Help us take down our old selves by beating that number by hitting that sub button down below. Now, some training camp news I want to share with everyone. Kellen Mond has been named the starter for the Browns in the NFL Hall of Fame game. Dorian Thompson-Robinson will play the second half, and Zach Wilson is starting for the New York Jets. And when was the last time an NFL Hall of Fame game had a first-round pick quarterback starting for one team and a third-round pick starting for the other team? This has the making for at least a watchable NFL Hall of Fame game, because usually we are so excited for it, and then it gets here, and you're like, oh, that stinks. That's just downright hard to watch right there. I don't know who any of these guys are. None of them might not even make the practice squad. So to see Kellen Mond, who I think is a pretty exciting quarterback, and then DTR with his legs against Zach Wilson, yeah, that's going to be a much more appealing game. Some other takeaways I have from training camp, as I don't even know what day it is now. Cedric Tillman had the grab of the day today as I filmed this on Tuesday. So went up there, made a fantastic catch, and Tillman has quietly been putting up some really solid days at practice. I don't know if there's going to be enough snaps and targets for him to really have a breakout rookie. You can't break out in your rookie year, but have an impactful rookie season. But I think Cedric Tillman is someone that we're going to go into the regular season very excited about after watching him play in 4 preseason games, and then be very optimistic about what he has to bring to the table in 2023 and 2024 and beyond. Next up on the show, I want to talk about the new logo at Midfield. What are we doing here? Guys, come on. We did this last year. I'm not a big fan of constantly re-voting. We voted once. We don't need to vote again. So here's the deal, yo. The Browns social media team put it on Twitter of a poll for the new center field logo, and they want to know if we want to run it back with Brownie the Elf, the new Dog Pound logo, just the Browns logo in itself, the helmet, or just no logo altogether. So I don't really have a super duper strong opinion about any of those 4. You can make solid cases for all of them, right? Whether it's the neutrality of no logo up there, whether it's kind of just going back to the classic Browns helmet, whether it's running it back with Brownie the Elf, whether it's putting the Dog Pound logo. They all have got pros and cons. I don't really care. Just pick one and stick with it. But I'm tired of doing this charade and acting like this is a D2 college football team that's more about the glitz and the glamour than the actual product itself. Just pick a logo and proceed with it. I don't want to keep re-voting every year. I don't know if someone's just getting bored in Berea and it's like, all right, let's vote again. Like, no. Find something else to vote about. Let's pick one logo and continue with it for the foreseeable future. But vote for me. Which midfield logo would you like to see? The elf logo, the helmet logo, the Dog Pound logo, or no logo? Which is why that picture is empty. So let me know down in the comment section which one you would like to roll with. I saw an interesting story on Twitter I wanted to share with everyone watching, and that is Joe Thomas almost got traded to Denver. So he was on the Adam Schefter podcast, and he talked about how back in 2015, when the Broncos won the Super Bowl, keep in mind, he almost got traded to Denver. In fact, it was so close to going through that him and his wife started looking at homes in Denver on Zillow. Ultimately, the trade did not go through, and Joe Thomas, finished his career as a Cleveland Brown, the only team he ever played for. But part of me does kind of wonder, man, I love that Joe Thomas was a Cleveland Brown for life, and there's just something a little bit richer to that as a fan when one guy plays for one team and he happens to be one of your favorite players and a franchise legend and a Hall of Famer. But if you got to go win a Super Bowl with the Broncos, would any of us really be that all upset? Plus, who knows what you gotten in return, right? Joe Thomas would have gone for at least a first or second round pick. So it would have been interesting to see what the framework for the trade would have looked like, but ultimately never happened. Thomas retired a Brown, one of the best, if not the best, all-around Cleveland Browns player in franchise history. But crazy world we could have lived in, where Joe Thomas goes to Denver and helps Peyton Manning win a Super Bowl, and Russell Wilson was almost a Cleveland Brown 5-6 years ago, whatever at this point. But let's show the guy some love. Spam73 down in the comment section below. He will be in Canton getting enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and I definitely am excited to see that. So let's show the guy some love. Type his jersey number in the comment section. To wrap up today's long show. Is it long show, Tex? Medium show. Medium pizza. What number do you want to go with?
I'm going to go with the 7 of diamonds.
7 of diamonds. Okay, I like it. I'm going to go with... Ooh, bad shuffling. I'm going to go with the... Give me the Ace of Hearts. What'd you say? 7 of diamonds. That is like... That's the reaction? Nothing? You just got to write... Fucking text right there. 7 of diamonds, and he just is speechless. Wow, too cool for school, I guess, to hang out with us here and get the card right. But shout out to Tex. He joins myself and Trace as the only people to get the card right. And now I'm realizing the producers are up 2-1 over me. So I've got some work to do. Tex, congratulations, buddy. That's pretty fucking awesome. All right, we'll see you guys later.